Some of the chapters that we are covering in this course are more complex and detailed than others. This happens to be one of those. Perception is a more complex chapter with several parts. So we're going to learn more about how we perceive ourselves. We're going to learn how we perceive others, and we're going to learn some skills on how we can improve our perception. This first video, though, I'm going to focus in on the perception process. If you really want to study more on perception, you'd want to take psychology because they go into this topic very much in depth. We're going to focus in on how perception works as far as communication goes. So take psychology if you want to learn more about perception. So what do you see in this image? I'll just give you a minute. I will tell you there are two women in this image. One's an older one. One is a younger woman. Do you see it? If you don't, that's okay. Some see one or the other. Some see both. We will break it down a little later for you so you can hopefully see it. But that's just a function of perception. You're taking in information and trying to make sense of it. Here's another one. What do you see here? Do you see two faces looking at each other, or do you see a white goblet or candlestick or vase? It depends on whether you focus in on the black or the white. Again, just a function of perception. So when we talk about perception, we're looking at it as a process. So you're going to learn these three parts to the perception process. And there is the bird in the background if you can hear him. We have how we select, and then we organize, and then we interpret the data. Okay, and so this is what I would call a preview slide. I introduce you to the concept and then provide details on subsequent slides. So I'm not going to go through all of this in detail. I'm just kind of introducing you. You're going to learn about in our selection process, we have things that capture our attention through our senses, right? And so you'll learn more about that as you study this chapter, right? And why we select the data we do. Some of it captures our attention because it stands out or it's different. There's other reasons. Then there's some challenges we face in our selection process. So you'll want to familiarize yourself with those because those are some of the things that you learn about and then you realize, maybe I'll be more aware of that. The second step in the perception process is organizing, and we actually take in all that data that's selected. A lot of it is actually subconscious. But we take in information and we organize, our brain organizes it into usable information or usable forms. And they're actually called schemas. I like to look at it as if it's like a filing cabinet, right? It takes in information and files it into like categories or like files. So back to that first image, we have an older woman and a younger woman. And so here is the older woman, listed here under A. The younger woman, who's looking away from you, really, you're just seeing the profile, is under B, and then C is the combination of both. Actually, C is the old woman and A is the combination. You're also going to learn about how we organize. There's certain laws of organization. Again, a lot of this is subconscious, but some of it is conscious. You're going to learn some of the challenges that we face with our perspective. I love this cartoon. They think there's 4 logs here, and this person says there's 3. Are they both correct? So you're going to learn about mindlessness, how we are selective in our perception, and undue influence. So you'll want to check those out. And the third step in our perception process is interpreting. That is by taking in the data and trying to process it. You're adding meaning. It would be like decoding. a message back in our communication model. We're trying to make sense of it, right? And so if I said the word dog, you have to interpret that. What comes to mind? Your pets, the ones that you love, the cute puppies, right? Or does something else come to mind? Is that your image of a dog? I have both. When I was in elementary school, I liked to go up to the school and play on the playground afterwards. So I was riding my bike up to the school, and this big, huge German Shepherd came up and bit me on the ankle as I was riding my bike. Where'd that come from? So I have two images of dogs. I have this one sometimes, but I also think of my adorable, cute pets, right? And beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I'm sure you've heard that quote before. That is perception. There are lots of factors that influence our perception, and you'll learn more about those in this chapter. There's physiological factors. You're going to have psychological factors also. And so, and culture. And so you'll dive into more detail on that. I do like to use this particular image on culture because it shows you the vast differences on what we value as a culture or what other countries value as a culture. And we'll use the same image when we get to our culture chapter because it does make a difference on how we view things. You're going to be introduced to your narratives and attribution. We'll talk about attribution in another video because we do make errors. But we are going to learn more about how we perceive. Like, we tend to make snap judgments, we tend to stereotype. And so you're going to learn more about yourself in this particular chapter on perception. It is going to be a little bit more introspective, which might make some of you uncomfortable, but it would be a good thing for you to explore. So that is video 1. In our next video, we are going to look at some of the factors that come into play when we are perceiving others.